Hi, welcome to SCAN Community Connection. My name is Andrea, and I'm going to be interviewing Maryann on Tales to Tell stories about each other. Maryann is going to be talking about her father coming over from Italy to the United States. Hi, Maryann. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Great. Why don't you tell me first how your father was brought up in Italy?
Okay, well, he was born in Calabria, and he was I think he was a little bit of a mischievous boy. And anyway, he didn't leave there until he was 17 years old. And the way he left, the way he got out of Calabria, was to join the Italian Navy. And the Italian Navy gave him an opportunity to come to America.
Now, when he was a child, he had a pet goat. There was a story about a goat.
This is a funny story. He was working on the farm, and what he was doing was he was being very mischievous. So what he did was he must have been playing with like matches or something, and it set off like an explosion, and the parents were very angry, needless to say. So they punished him, as they will do, and they made him go and watch the goats. And in my father's words, he said, "Stupid parents, you make me go watch the goats. Terrible." And that's what he was like as a child.
Now, when he left Italy and he was on his way to the United States, he was in the Navy. And what happened?
No, he wasn't in the Navy yet. He was just coming over on a ship, a regular ship.
Okay.
And the ship happened to be sailing at the same time as the Titanic. So they heard on his ship that the Titanic had sunk. And they were all very, very frightened.
Very scary. I could only imagine how they felt.
Yes.
Because here you're on a boat and you hear this story. Who would want to even acknowledge that? And then he joined the Navy.
Yes. Then when he was in America, he joined the American Navy, and he fought in World War I.
Amazing.
But as I said, I don't have many early recollections of him because I was not born until he was 44. Oh, 55. I made a mistake. My mom was 44.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was the youngest of 4 children. And I must say, he never made me feel like 4 girls. He never made me feel like he was disappointed that I wasn't a girl.
Most fathers would.
Yes, he didn't. And he was always, very accepting of that, and he was very happy having his 4 daughters. He really was.
And he took you to school dances.
Yes, actually, the first memory I have of him was him taking me to the park. And we'd walk down to Shore Road, and we would go on the swings. He'd push me on the swings, and then he would walk me back. And that was like such a nice thing because it was just the 2 of us.
Amazing relationship. Absolutely amazing. Now, your mother liked to cook Italian food.
Yes.
So,
well, when he first came over and he married her a few years later, she would make him lovely Italian dishes all the time. Finally, he said to her, "Nancy, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I'm sick of Italian food. I'm used to American food now that I live here. Make a pork chop or steak or something like that.
Want a good old-fashioned hamburger and French fries."
Right. So my mother did that.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And now he passed away. He was 102?
He had passed away when he was 102. And, we didn't really think he was ever going to die. We thought he was going to live forever. But it wasn't a sad passing because we had so many fond memories of him, so many stories to tell about him that he's been alive in our hearts forever.
And you still have a good relationship with your sisters?
Yes, I have 2 living sisters. One is already passed, and we were all very close. We were very close. They were very, very protective of me, because I was the baby. And so we are still close to this day.
That's great.
I just wanted
Did I miss anything?
Okay.
Tell me more about his
I know that's
relationship.
dead time. I know it. Dead air. You can't have dead air.
The story about him in the Navy. Were there any specific stories about him in the Navy that you wanted to?
He didn't talk much about the Navy. I have to be honest, because unless he told my mother, his wife, but he did. I had a picture of him in the Navy, and maybe I can get that and we'll put it up at some time.
That would be a very interesting story.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. And
how did your father meet your mother in the United States?
well, he was, Italians have to be brought together. So she was single, and he was a good catch. So they managed to introduce them. A friend introduced him to her, and a friend introduced her to him. So in other words, it was arranged. But they really loved each other. They really were close, and she was very close to him until the day she died, really.
That's an absolutely amazing story.
It is amazing, it is. It's a very happy story.
Yeah, it sounds like he had a good life, and everybody got along, and they were happy in the United States.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your story.
Well, I like to think about him every day.
Good memories.
Good memories.
Good
nothing
memories.
bad, nothing sad.
Very good. Okay. I guess we're going to take a break right now, and then we'll come back, and Maryann will talk to me. Thank you.
If the black dog of depression makes you feel like the saddest soul on earth, you're not alone. Around 350 million people share this debilitating but treatable condition. If you're worried about someone, ask if they're okay. If you're not doing so well yourself, ask for help. There is no shame in doing so. The only shame is missing out on life. So get help, be helped, and always hold on to hope.
Welcome back to Tales to Tell. Now we're going to interview Andrea, who has some stories about her family. Take it away, Andrea.
Thank you. My mom was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 1987.
How old was she when she got sick?
She was 42.
Wow.
I was 22. So my life, our whole family's life changed completely. I had to grow up very, very quickly. Unfortunately, when she got sick, my dad took a hike. He left. So I had just moved out, being 22 years old. I was in my first apartment, and I had to come home. My sister was in college, so somebody had to take care of my mom. And that.
So you did have one sibling.
I had a sister. Yeah, I have a sister, I should say. I have a sister. She is younger than I am, and I was still nominated. There's always one person in every family that's the caregiver, and that was me. So I grew up very fast, and I learned everything that I knew about multiple sclerosis. There was nothing I couldn't tell you about the disease. It's a terrible, terrible disease.
I can imagine. I know it's a terrible disease, but it must have had a great impact on you. Were you able to have any relationships during this time?
During that time, no.
Yeah, that time, sorry.
During the time that my mom got sick, no. But I had 3 relationships prior to her getting sick, and unfortunately, none of them worked out.
Oh.
They all the men that I dated, had relationships with, were killed.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. The first man that I dated was a police officer in Brooklyn, and he was shot in the line of duty. The second man that I dated was an Air Force airplane mechanic, and he took a plane up, and the plane crashed. And the third guy, who I really thought that I was going to marry and continue my life with, he had diabetes, and he forgot to take his insulin, had a diabetic coma, and he crashed his car. So I had these 3 relationships. Then a couple of years later, my mom gets sick, and I had given up all hope.
Yeah. You decided to just focus on her.
On her. I had nothing else. It had to be all about my mom. So we went, and the strength that she had, she imposed on me, and we together got through a very, very rocky relationship.
Can you tell me about some of the things you did together?
Oh, yeah, we would go out for lunch. Now, you got to realize neither one of us drive. So she's in a nursing home, and I'm living here, so we would meet. We would both take transportation, and we would meet at the mall, and we would go to a movie, and we would go out to lunch and just have a good time. When she turned 70, I decided to take her into New York City, and we went to go see Jersey Boys.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it was something she always wanted to do, and it was a very interesting trip. Again, everything that you could possibly think of went wrong. I had called prior to have a handicapped cab come and pick us up at the train station to take us out to lunch. Well, the cab never showed up.
So what did you do?
So the two of us started walking through Times Square on our way to the theater.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now that's resourceful, I must say.
Yeah. Now, everybody knows that in New York City, nobody cares if you're in a wheelchair or what you're doing. So we had to zig and zag throughout New York City with her in a wheelchair. She didn't realize that there wasn't a cut curb right over the curb. I almost had a heart attack. I thought she was going to fall out of the wheelchair. And she dropped the bottle of iced tea that she had in her hand, and some guy picked up the bottle and put it on her lap, didn't ask if we were okay or anything like that. It was very, very interesting story, but we did enjoy the show. It turned out to be a great day, great afternoon.
Now you said you had the sister, but she wasn't really involved in her care, was she?
No, unfortunately, my sister, she was a lot like my father and couldn't accept the fact that my mother had gotten sick. So she would write checks. That was my sister's idea of taking care of my mom. She would write a check, and then that's how we would go out to dinner or lunch or whatever. And it was her way of handling the situation. She couldn't be around the fact that her mother was in a wheelchair. Oh my God, this can't happen. So that's the way things went.
Well, it's good that she did that because it gave you a chance to really bond with your mom, I think, right?
Absolutely. We had a great relationship, an absolute great relationship. When I lived with her in Oceanport at first, before we went to the nursing home, and together we decided that the best place for her was to be in the nursing home. I said to her, Mom, I don't want to be your caregiver, I want to be your daughter. So together we made the decision for her to go to the nursing home. She would get the proper care, and I would be able to have a relationship with her, and it worked out until she finally passed in 2016 at 70 years old.
Wow,
and
that's amazing. That is truly amazing.
Yeah, she had it was a tough life for the both of us, but we made the best out of it. And her courage gave me the courage to move forward. And now I can live my life because she lived hers. And I can now continue to move on and have a social life. And that's the way it happened.
Well, that was very heartwarming and very interesting. And it was positive. It wasn't all negative. It was really positive.
It's a very positive story.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me, and I know you enjoyed me talking to you.
Absolutely.
And I believe this is the end of our series, and we'll see you again soon.